Welcome. I'm Kelly Gillespie, Executive Director of Southwest Plains Regional Service Center, and I'm thrilled to be able to spend some time with you through this virtual course on total participation techniques. We know as educators that one of the most important things we can do in our classroom is increase student engagement around content. So our time together will focus on giving you numerous techniques that you can use in your classrooms. As you begin to apply the work that you learned during this course, I would ask that you consider reaching out to me through Twitter and help me create a virtual network community around this course. When you're applying the total participation engagement techniques in your classroom, take a picture, post a tweet about how the strategy went in your classroom. Tag me at Dr. Kelly from Kansas and at SW Plains and hashtag SWP TPT. That way we can begin to develop a virtual community around this course and see what others are doing in their classrooms. I'm using two resources for this course, and they include the Total Participation Techniques Edition 1 and Edition 2. There is no need for you to purchase either one of these books, but if you want additional information, I would encourage you to purchase the second edition of Total Participation Techniques. So let's start right off the bat with a total participation engagement technique that you can use in your classroom and I want to use in order to activate your prior knowledge around engagement. The strategy is called 3 to Get Ready. In order to use this strategy, you will need 3 index cards per person. You'll begin by asking the students to write down 3 thoughts on the topic of the day, 1 thought per card. Once that step is completed, have students mill around the room, and when you call time, they will pair up with another student and share their thoughts on 3 to Get Ready. Do this for a couple of rounds. Some options might be in round 1, have the students trade a card of their choice with the partner they met up with. Another round, they might trade a card with a partner from a different perspective. After 2 or 3 rounds, conclude 3 to Get Ready by grouping students in teams of 4 to 6 students. Have them sort their cards and look for common themes. Then select a spokesperson and have that spokesperson share the themes they discovered within their group on 3 to Get Ready. You can use 3 to Get Ready as an activating prior knowledge activity, a check for understanding during a lesson, or for review for an assessment. It's an all-round powerful tool because it incorporates visual, auditory, and tactile in its objectives. Handout 1 in this course describes 3 to Get Ready in its entirety. At this point, I would like you to pause the video and consider your 3 to Get Ready around this course, Total Participation Techniques. What do you hope to gain through your time and involvement with this course? Pause the video. So I'd like to share my 3 goals of our time together. They include, number 1, helping you engage all students all the time. I'll share the research on why that's important to the classroom teacher And again, you'll get multiple strategies before we're done on how to do this. Number 2, understand the role of Check for Understanding in the instructional planning process. Check for Understanding should happen about every 10 to 15 minutes during our delivery, our modeling, our group facilitation, and our independent practice. Engagement strategies can be used as one method of Check for Understanding. And lastly, my goal is that you increase your ability to manage classrooms effectively because your students are engaged. When students are socially constructing their learning and engaged with each other and the content, classroom discipline problems go down. Those are my goals, or my 3 to get ready in our time together. As we begin, I'd like to share with you some background knowledge around learning, questioning, and engagement that I see as I have the opportunity to visit classrooms across the state. On the slide, you'll see that I've chosen to use the visual of a beach ball because that's typically what I see happening in classrooms. The teacher poses a question or a check for understanding. She tosses the beach ball to the student that raises their hand. That individual student answers the question, and therefore the teacher only knows and sees what that individual student understands, leaving out all of the other students, 15 students, 18 students, 21 students. I'd like to propose that we allow the opportunity for all students to process and respond to our check for understanding and to our questions. We don't want to call on one student, but we want to have the opportunity for all students to respond. The research from 2004 indicates that 9 students per second drop out of school. Pause and think about that number. Pause and think about, what can I do to change that statistic? Effective teaching, student engagement, has a direct impact on that number. The Gallup poll of 2015 spent time asking 5th through 12th grade students why they dropped out of school. 50% of students surveyed by Gallup indicated that they dropped out of school because they were not engaged. 9 students every second. 50% of those that dropped out reported they are not engaged. There's your why for the content of this course. The second engagement strategy I'd like to share with you is called Clock Buddies. Clock Buddies allows for students to develop 4 partners that they can work with throughout the hour, the week, or the unit. It works in this manner. Students will stand up and with their handout, and it's handout 2, and they will find a partner to exchange names with at 12 o'clock, a different partner at 3 o'clock, a different partner at 6 o'clock, and a different partner at 9 o'clock. So I'll stand up and I'll connect with Billy. I'll ask Billy if he wants to be my 12 o'clock partner. If he does, I'll write Billy's name down on my sheet at 12 o'clock, and he'll write down my name at his 12 o'clock on his sheet. That allows for students to have 4 partners and opportunities to seek learning and hear learning from 4 different partners during the unit or time of study that you indicate. This is done based on the research of the cone of learning. Take a look at the slide. Let's start at the top. The research tells us that if students have the opportunity to read only, so they're reading silently, after 2 weeks, they will remember 10% of what they've read. If we also talk to the students about what they read and we add hearing into that cone of learning, they will remember 20% of what they hear after 2 weeks. Move on down the cone and glance at the additional information. You can see when we add a mental model, a demonstration, a YouTube video, we increase the opportunity of students to not only see and hear and observe the learning, learning increases to 50% after 2 weeks. What we remember. When we add discussion or the opportunity for students to talk around the learning, it increases to 70%. The 2 engagement strategies I've shared with you so far, 3 to get ready and clock buddies, take us to that level on the cone of learning. Learning is socially constructed. When we allow students to talk and visit about their learning, they remember 70% of the learning 2 weeks after the learning occurred. The last example is when we take learning to 90% and we add the opportunity for students to engage through a real-world experience, problem-based learning, a writing activity. That increases their learning to 90%. I'd like you to stop at this point and reflect on your lesson planning and your lesson designing. Do you provide the students an opportunity to read and see and hear and do? If you don't, how might you change your practices to include that information and those activities in your lesson design?